I get real antsy. But like I said, some folks go through emotional issues. Some people go through spiritual issues. You know, the devil's always trying to knock us off balance, trying to make us fall, trying to make us go in a direction that we really shouldn't go into. There's a guy that I know in passing. Marlene knows him pretty well. She asked him the other day during Betty's party if he goes to church. And he says, no, I don't. At one time, this man was a very on-fire Christian. But something happened in his life that something really, his wife cheated on him, and he found out about it. And he basically gave up on God. You know, maybe one. Well, anyhow, he's run into some spiritual trials anyhow. And it turned, also there are financial issues that we run into sometimes. My theory is a lot of folks put themselves in financial straits. They want something that they can't have. Every time I think about that, though, I think about this old fellow that we used to know who had this car, and he says, God told me I could have this nice car. Only thing is, God didn't tell him how to pay for it. So, you know, a lot of folks put themselves in financial issues, and sometimes these trials that we get into feels like we're going to die. You know, it gets on gets on us so hard, we wonder how we got into it and how we're going to get out of it. But the statement that I made to Tommy and Noel the other day, that there's more growth in the valley than there is on the mountaintop. You notice when it rains, all the rain, you might have some growth on the mountains, sure. But all that water goes down into the valley. And when you look at the valley, the grass is greener there. There's more lush and more growth there in that valley than there is on that mountaintop. So we have to take that into consideration too. Because no matter what we go through, no matter the trials that we go through, God is with us if we'll let him be. If we'll let him be. In Hebrews 13th chapter 5th verse, let your conversation be without covetousness, and be content with such things as you have. For he has said, I will never leave thee or forsake thee. No matter what we go through, God will never leave us or forsake us. We may turn around and we may walk off. And when we start looking for God, he said, I'm right here where you left me. I'm right here. Come home, child. We have, and God always, when we go through these trials, God always sends his comfort. John 14:16. And I will pray the Father, and he will give you another comforter, that he may abide with you forever. Not just a little while, not just in the good times, not just when you're sailing along, but in the bad times too, in the trying times, in the times that You wonder, how in this world did I get into this? God's got his comforter there to comfort us, to be with us. And we got to remember, when we're in that valley and we're looking for that mountaintop, that the victory is on the other side. I start thinking about David and Goliath. David met Goliath in a valley of victory. 1 Samuel 17, verse 2, and verse 19 both, it starts talking about the valley of Elah, E-L-A-H. And God gave David that victory in the valley of Elah. You know, you just look at the armor that Goliath had on. And some dude that is, they estimate him to be about 9 foot tall. And he's all armored up. I have seen some big dudes, especially when I was running with the wrestling circuit. I have seen some big dudes, but I never seen nobody 9 foot tall. But God knew exactly where to place that stone in that armor to bring down the giant. He knew exactly where to send that stone and give David that victory. Because have you ever noticed all the other trained soldiers were standing up there shaking in their boots? And this one child of God, who is this Philistine that's making fun of our God? Who is this Philistine? Well, that's Goliath. That's their main warrior. David goes down there with some stones, winds one of them up, lets it fly, and God took it right where it needed to be to take that giant, that trial down. And he can do it for us too, folks. 1 Samuel 17, well, I already covered that. God can give us victory too. All we have to do is trust in him. He's already sent the comforter down to help us out. But you know, a lot of times God lets us go through these valleys to give us growth. To give us growth. Matthew 5th chapter, 45th verse. That ye may be the children of your Father which is in heaven. For he maketh the sun to rise on the evil and on the good, and sendeth rain on the just and the unjust. You may ask God, why? Why am I going through this? The question ought to be, why not? The Lord lets things happen to the good people, and lets things happen to the bad people. But, you know, that's just part of being human. That's just part of being a human being. Everybody goes through stuff. You know, the best thing that we can do when we are going through a trial, we give it to Jesus. God, I don't know what's going on with this. I don't know how I got here or why I got here. But I'm giving it to you. You know what he'll say? I got this. I got this. So we need to remember when we are going through the valleys, it may seem hard at the time. It might seem like we're about to die. It may seem like, how did I get into this? I think also of Job. He lost his wealth. He lost his children. He lost basically all of his worldly possessions. He had sores all over his body. And he hadn't done a doggone thing you would think to deserve it. But during that time of growth, during that time that he was going through that valley, he was going through growth. And his friends were there. His so-called friends, man, you must have done something. But he came back. God gave him back more wealth than he had to start with. He gave him back more children. He gave him back. On the other side of that valley, he had a better victory than he had to start with. And we have to realize that. So we may go through that valley. Give our problems to Jesus. And he'll look after us. Is there anyone here tonight that needs to pray about anything? Be a good time too. If not, I'm going to turn it over to Tommy.